In the gilded kingdom of Hollywood, stars reign supreme, their names etched in light, and their faces adored by millions across the globe. For a time, they are the very definition of success, possessing a power that seems almost immortal. But this kingdom is built on fragile ground, ruled by the fickle court of public opinion. The very spotlight that creates a legend is an unforgiving force capable of magnifying a single flaw into a career-ending catastrophe. The descent from grace is rarely a gentle slope. It is a sudden, brutal fall. A single ill-conceived tweet, a moment of uncontrolled rage captured on camera, or a controversial statement that challenges the industry's silent rules can erase decades of applause overnight. Suddenly, the icon becomes an outcast, the hero becomes a villain, and a household name becomes a punchline. What follows is more than just a canceled project. It's a form of public exile. These are the cautionary tales of Hollywood's fallen stars, powerful reminders that in the relentless pursuit of fame, the throne is never guaranteed, and the fall is always just one mistake away. There was a period when Katherine Heigl outshone nearly everyone on American television. Her portrayal of Dr. Izzy Stevens on Grey's Anatomy transformed her into a beloved figure by fans and secured her an Emmy Award in 2007. She was gorgeous, gifted, and appeared to have the entertainment world in the palm of her hand. However, in a business where public adoration can disappear in an instant, a single blunder can alter everything. In 2008, Heigl made a decision that changed the trajectory of her professional life. She removed her name from Emmy contention, stating she had not received material deserving of a nomination. To numerous people, those remarks seemed like an insult to the show's scriptwriters and even to its creator, Shonda Rhimes. Almost immediately, gossip circulated that she was challenging, unappreciative, and unprofessional. And in the film industry, where one's standing is valuable, opportunities started to diminish. Following her departure from Grey's Anatomy, Heigl attempted to triumph in cinema, but her ventures did not succeed. Romantic comedies such as New Year's Eve and The Big Wedding failed at the box office. Reviewers were severe, and viewers ceased to attend. What was formerly a hopeful career transformed into a warning about how one declaration can disrupt everything. In subsequent interviews, Heigl clarified her exasperation. "I was not satisfied with my performance," she explained. "I did not believe I had compelling scripts and it impacted me, but the harm was irreversible." Within entertainment circles, her name grew to be synonymous with difficulty. Presently, Katherine Heigl has distanced herself from the turmoil of celebrity. She leads a more serene existence in Utah, bringing up her children and concentrating on her family. She has also discovered a new phase in television, featuring in Netflix's Firefly Lane from 2021 to 2023, which presented her to a new generation of viewers. Reflecting on the past, she concedes with a degree of sadness, "The industry is fickle. Once you lose your footing, it's difficult to regain it." Katherine Heigl's narrative is not solely about a performer who lost favor in Hollywood. It serves as a testament to how delicate achievement can be in a field where acclaim is ephemeral and one's public image can determine success or failure. For a long time, Felicity Huffman was the embodiment of the resilient, intelligent, and slightly flustered woman with whom audiences could identify. As Lynette Scavo on Desperate Housewives, she became one of television's most cherished stars, personifying the contemporary overburdened mother who was imperfect yet profoundly human. However, in 2019, that persona crumbled in an instant. The shocking news was revealed. Felicity Huffman was at the core of the university admissions controversy, the biggest instance of educational dishonesty in U.S. history. She had paid $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT results changed. The disclosure stunned the public. How could the performer who formerly portrayed characters driven by integrity make such a decision in her actual life? The media tracked her every move into the courthouse. Online platforms became malicious. With a quavering voice in her declaration, Huffman confessed, I was frightened, I was foolish, and I was profoundly mistaken. The magistrate's verdict was prompt 14 days in jail, a $30,000 penalty, and 250 hours of community service. It was not a lengthy punishment, but the blemish on her profession was indelible. Ventures were called off, sponsorships disappeared, and Netflix even postponed the debut of her movie Otherhood. Huffman turned into the symbol of a controversy that revealed advantage riches and the deplorable measures some parents would take for their offspring. Currently, Felicity Huffman leads a more subdued, secluded existence. She fulfilled her jail time, finished her community work, and has maintained her concentration on family and recovery. She is still wedded to actor William H. Macy, and together they have brought up their daughters away from the spotlight of Hollywood. Gradually, she has begun to resume her acting career, featuring in the 2022 series The Good Lawyer pilot and committing to a stage part in Los Angeles. Although the business has not completely welcomed her return, Huffman appears resolute in her effort to reconstruct her career incrementally. Her tale continues to be a harsh moral. Desiring what is optimal for one's children is natural, yet thinking it can be purchased, especially through deceit, can ruin everything. For over 2 decades, Cameron Diaz was the personification of Hollywood success. From The Mask to Charlie's Angels, her luminous smile and captivating energy illuminated the big screen. She was humorous, bold, and innately charismatic, the darling of her generation. But just as it appeared her fame would ascend even higher, she disappeared. By 2018, Diaz affirmed what many had surmised. She was retiring from acting. There was no controversy, no box office failure, no tumultuous separation plastered across the tabloids. Just a straightforward, potent truth. I wanted my life to be manageable by me. The entertainment world was astounded. How could one of the most profitable actresses of her time simply depart? While the industry searched for explanations, Cameron quietly discovered what the public eye had never given her: tranquility. In 2015, she wed musician Benji Madden, and 5 years later they welcomed their daughter Radix. Motherhood, she has said, is the best thing that ever happened to me. Away from movie sets, Diaz authored 2 best-selling wellness manuals, The Body Book and The Longevity Book, advocating for balance, self-love, and a healthy lifestyle. In 2020, she co-established Avaline, a thriving, clean wine brand centered on transparency and well-being. When questioned if she would ever go back to acting, Cameron often replied with a smile that she'd already had a fantastic career, but that her family and self-development were of greater importance. However, in 2022, it was announced that she was returning, rejoining Jamie Foxx for the Netflix film Back in Action. Admirers celebrated her comeback, but this time it was on her own conditions. Currently, Cameron Diaz leads a life that merges family entrepreneurship and selective projects. Her decision, criticized by some and admired by many, has become a representation of personal liberty. Because sometimes the most courageous move isn't remaining in the spotlight, but deciding to step away from it. For a period, Charlie Sheen was the most influential man on television. As the headliner of 2.5 Men, one of the most prosperous sitcoms in history, he commanded a staggering $1.8 million per episode. The offspring of Martin Sheen and the darling of Hollywood, he possessed an innate ability, the charm, and an existence destined for public attention. However, the distinction between the role he portrayed and the person he was started to become indistinct. Narcotics, unruly celebrations, and turbulent relationships, his off-camera behavior became an element of the public display. And when the public display escalated uncontrollably, the entertainment industry pulled the plug. In 2011, Sheen had a public breakdown. He flung accusations at show creator Chuck Lorre, labeled his superiors as clowns, and created the viral catchphrase, "I'm winning." His interviews devolved into late-night jokes, his life a spontaneous public drama. Warner Brothers dismissed him, substituted his character, and ended the era of his television dominance. But the most tragic chapter of his narrative was still to unfold. In 2015, Sheen disclosed he was HIV positive, a medical condition he had concealed for years. Litigation ensued, accompanied by monetary setbacks, severed relationships, and a shattered public image. In retrospect, Sheen acknowledged with unusual composure, "I take full responsibility for it. I behaved as if I was indestructible." Presently, Charlie Sheen claims he is abstinent, in better health, and more serene. He has concentrated on mending his relationships with his children and leading a more subdued existence away from the pandemonium. Gradually, he has been returning to acting, which includes the forthcoming series Ramble On, and even a new venture bringing him back together with Chuck Lorre, the very producer he once maligned. Charlie Sheen's narrative is not simply about a downfall. It is a warning story of unbridled arrogance and its repercussions, an existence that transformed into a screenplay too outrageous even for Hollywood to conceive. In the 1990s, Michael Richards was an icon of television comedy. His portrayal of Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld was not merely eccentric, it was indelible. With his unrestrained entrances, physical comedy, and erratic energy, Kramer became one of the most cherished characters in television history. Each time he burst onto the screen, millions laughed along with him. However, a single night was sufficient to ruin it all. In November 2006, during a comedy performance at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, Richards lost his composure after being interrupted by spectators. What started as comedy degenerated into a shocking tirade filled with racial slurs. A recording of the event circulated online within hours, triggering nationwide outrage. The man who once delivered joy to millions was abruptly condemned as an emblem of bigotry. Richards appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman days later, visibly disturbed, and apologized. "I'm not a racist. I'm profoundly sorry. But the harm was irreversible." The entertainment industry turned its back. His professional life collapsed, and every effort at a comeback was met with silence. Since that time, Richards has largely resided away from the public eye, infrequently appearing on screen. In 2023, he published a memoir, Entrances and Exits, contemplating his ascent, his downfall, and the insights gained. Today, he remains mostly withdrawn from public life. His story serves as a stark lesson in Hollywood. One night, one tirade can wipe out years of laughter. In Hollywood, few names generate as much intrigue as Jared Leto. He is an actor, a musician, and a visionary, a restless spirit who never sought to follow the system, but to revolutionize it. He earned an Academy Award for his poignant role as Rayon in Dallas Buyers Club, a performance that astounded audiences and solidified his reputation as a versatile artist. Yet just when many anticipated he would fully pursue movie stardom, Jared seemingly stepped back. While his peers celebrated at Oscar after-parties, Leto was already on tour with his band. 30 Seconds to Mars, performing energetically before thousands of fans with albums like 2018's America topping the Billboard charts and their latest release, 2023's It's the End of the World, But It's a Beautiful Day, proving music was just as essential to his identity as film. Concurrently, while the entertainment industry speculated about his withdrawal, Leto was investing in technology companies like Airbnb and Slack, showing he had his focus firmly on the future. On screen, he makes selective appearances, immersing himself in extreme roles from the Joker in Suicide Squad to the eccentric Paolo Gucci in House of Gucci, and most recently headlining Marvel's Morbius. For Leto, every endeavor must be a challenge, not a routine. Today, Jared Leto exists at the intersection of the worlds of art, music, and innovation. He is not chasing celebrity, he is chasing impact. In a business obsessed with labels, he chose to be unclassifiable. The film industry never lost him. He simply determined its stage was too limited for everything he wanted to create. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and hit that subscribe button for more fascinating stories. See you in the next video.